Be on here. All right, welcome to the wine goblet. A couple ways to do it. I'll show you a couple ways to do it. So, way number one, I'm just going to throw off the hump, the stem for it. So when I'm doing that, I like to give myself a little guideline right there. Down to it. And we're just gonna get in there. And when you're throwing something small, like you're kind of using the tips of your fingers a little bit. And really just throwing the neck of a vase. And this is what's going to be the base for this goblet. Enough. Give yourself a little extra room. You can always cut some away later. And flatten that out. It's really just like the neck of a vase, and that's going to be our stem. Give myself an area to cut it off at. Wire on there. So here we got a stem. Flip that over and put a goblet on top of it. There's one. And here real quick I'll show you the body of it. I like to use about a pound of clay when I do it, and about a half a pound for the stem. I think I've got that backwards. That was definitely not half a pound. And this is probably slightly over a pound. So, make a little cylinder. Yeah, it's definitely more than a pound. This is probably a pound and a quarter or so. So make your cylinder. Get your water out of the bottom. And from here I like to cut away some of this clay on the bottom. Especially since I got more clay than I really want on there. And I'm just going to push out, give it that bulbous shape that the wine goblets have, so that air mixes in there with your wine. It's supposed to taste better. Kind of like to do an all-around sort of glass shape. Whether they got like the Merlot ones and the white wine's taller and narrower. I like to kind of be the happy medium, so you can drink everything out of it. I don't know how much it really matters, but there's, people really put with Bauhaus in Germany, they really put a lot of emphasis on the shape and which wine tastes best out of what shape. But then there was people in Asia who said the wine tastes better when you don't glaze the inside, so who's to say? I always like to give anything I'm drinking out of, I give like a little beveled edge there. That's a nice place to let your lip meet the end, so when you go to, your lip can greet the lip of the pot that way, so you have a big clunky thing on your mouth. And then real quick, I'll just kind of finish up the bottom there. So, give it a little design too. Down too much. So now it's got a little fun design to drink out of. And, you'd want to let this set up, but you can score and slip those together. Have yourself a little wine goblet. Now real quickly I'll show you, I got this one that I did real quickly before class, so it's already set up a little bit. So just put that on there, wine goblet, you put it on like as if you were trimming. And so the needle tool, let me borrow that real quick, please. And see, it's already right there. Check to see how centered it is. I bring in the needle tool right up to it and just stop as soon as you touch it. So on here, it's touching from there all the way to there. So that means the whole thing needs to go this way, the direction that doesn't have the mark, so that way it'll be spinning nicely in the center. So now when I come to touch it, it's touching all the way around. And then get it stuck on there. You know, always hold it down when you're putting the clay on so that you don't knock off where you just got it centered. Always have more clay touching than not. You don't want tiny little balls. You don't want some little tiny ball of clay. You know, don't be cheap with it. It's just clay. You can always get more. If you need to trim it up a little bit, you can. I don't have a trim tool handy, so I'm just going to kind of cut away some with this metal rib there. So just removing a little bit of the clay. You. That. That's about enough. So from here, we will score the bottom, score this piece, slip it, slip both sides, get that stuck on there. So then you can just throw the stem right onto it. So I'm going to center that. You know, of course, doing it the first way I showed you, that's going to be a little bit easier. And if you're struggling with it, I recommend doing it the first way, but if you find that to not be challenging enough, try this. So we're going to just throw right on top of it. When you make the hole, that's also, you know, that's a good time to work the two pieces of clay together. And from here, just start lifting it up. Nice little neck base. Leave a little bit of clay so it's a little thicker on the top, so that way you have that flange to flare out at the end. This lady at like the Ren Fair, and she had these really wide based goblets. You know, the thinner you do this, especially with ceramic, the easier it's going to break. So if this really narrow neck, that can break real easy when you're washing it. And also you want to think how it fits in your hand. You know, sometimes people like to really hold it almost like a pencil, like the neck. So you know, if it's really thick, you're not going to be able to do that so easily. Like that. I'm gonna leave the finger grooves on the bottom there just for looks. I like that better, so it's kind of like a smooth cut running into the finger groove on the bottom. And then from there, we're just gonna flare this out a little bit. A little bit of width is good so that it's more stable when you go to set it down. Make that a little narrower there. I got a nice little wine goblet. Slip off my hands. And I'm going to let this dry like this, because it's still wet on the top, so it doesn't smash itself. Any questions about the wine goblet?